Hello, everyone, and welcome to the January 2022 episode of the NBA Smash It new video program, All Around Newtown. I'll be your host today, Matt Peters, and today on All Around Newtown, we have truly a revolutionary episode for you. But before we get to that episode first and hear from our presenter, Andy Rich from Sandler Training, I would like to go over a couple of quick NBA member announcements. On January 27th will be the next NBA member breakfast meeting. That will be, like I said, January 27th at 7:30 a.m. and it will be at the Newtown Theater, which is 120 North State Street in the borough of Newtown. The sponsors of that event will be Pliables and the Coffee Room as well. This will be an in-person event, so you will need to register beforehand on the NBA website, and there will also be a virtual option if you'd feel more comfortable attending virtually over Zoom. The next Emerging Leaders Workshop will take place on Thursday, February 3rd from 5 to 6 p.m. That will also be another in-person event, and that will be at the Keller Williams Newtown office on Terry Drive. The presenter for that EL workshop will be Susan Markham from Awakening. She is a life coach, and she'll talk about life design. So you definitely want to make sure you register for that one. The EL events are open to any NBA members, although we do encourage you to pass the word along to maybe some younger members at your business and encourage them to get out and to start to learn about networking, and they'll also learn a lot about some professional development topics that we'll have going on these monthly EL workshops. The next NBA member business card exchange will be on February 9th from 5 until 7 p.m. The location and the details are still TBA, so we do ask that you just check on the NBA website to find out more details and to register in advance. And the next All Around Newtown episode will air on February 17th at 11 a.m. on Facebook. And in that, as you will see here today, you'll see NBA members speak on a variety of subjects on the NBA's Facebook page on the third Thursday of the month at 11 a.m. And then after that, if you can't catch it live, we do repost it to the NBA's YouTube page and also their Instagram page. So you could view it anytime if you can't catch it live. And for next month, for February, we will have an NBA President's Day special where we'll get to hear from current and past presidents of the Newtown Business Association. So you definitely want to set your calendar reminders for that one, February 17th at 11 a.m. As always, we encourage you to check out the NBA Business School podcasts on our website, and they're also listed on Anchor, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to be a part of a upcoming NBA Business School podcast, we simply ask that you reach out to Rodney Warner, and he can get you set up. And lastly, the last announcement for the day is to opt into text reminders and updates from the NBA by texting the phrase NBA to 844-574-6291. That's text the phrase NBA to the number 844-574-6291. And you could also find that number on the website. If you have any other questions about any of the events I discussed, or where they are, or who's going to be speaking, who's going to be sponsoring, what are they going to be speaking about, you could find all that on the newly revamped Newtown Business Association website, newtownba.org. Okay, now with all the announcements out of the way, let's get back to talking about this month's All Around Newtown episode. Like I said earlier, we're going to have a truly revolutionary episode for you today, and you'll get to hear from some of history's greatest American salespeople. And you'll also get to see a few historical locations from around the Newtown and greater Newtown area, and you'll get to learn about some of the history that goes into why those places are just so historical. And Newtown is full of history, both the borough and the township. This entire region is full of history, especially when you go back to the Revolutionary time and colonial times as well. And I'm very excited to show you our first history episode today. And you know what? I'm going to stop talking. I'm so excited to show you this video. Let's head on over to the Half Moon Inn, and we'll start there, and we'll hear from history's greatest salespeople. Come on, let's go.
Good morning. I'm Andy Rich, president of Sandler Training, Newtown. I just love this town. I just got elected to the board of directors of the Newtown Business Association. I'm excited for that. This town is rich in history. We've got great neighbors, and it's a trusted place to do business. Come on, let's check it out. Pardon my butter knife. In the 18th century, Margaret Thornton quit her job as bartender of the Bird in Hand just down the street, and she built this building, called it the Half Moon Inn. She was an amazing entrepreneur. She built an incredible business. Her husband, Joseph Thornton, passed away prematurely, so she was on her own. But she continued to scale this across town, buying buildings and in control of a lot of real estate as a woman in 1770s. Margaret was a shrewd businesswoman. In fact, she bought up 1/3 of the houses here and businesses here in Newtown. On the State Street South, she had about 1/3 of the real estate. And by the way, I would consider her the first realtor of Newtown. And of course, many, a great many of realtors here in Newtown followed her. She was only several paces from the courthouse, which meant she had many important people strolling in and strolling out. The fact of the matter is, that was one of 3 courthouses here in Pennsylvania, all the way up to the New York line. So it was busy and overflowed. In fact, it's been told that she housed hearings, the judge and the jury, right here in this tavern in the Court Inn, as it later became known to be. Wow, the bailiff probably had his hands full running court with drinks being served. Let's hope the defendants didn't bribe the judge with a couple cocktails.
It's me, your friend William Penn. That's right, the one and only William Penn. Well, I'm here today to tell you about the story of how Pennsylvania came to be. Hundreds and hundreds of years ago, my father lent King George II of England a large sum of money. When he died, that debt was still unpaid. So I took it upon myself to use the negotiation skills that I learned from Andy Rich and the Sandler Training Institute to negotiate a purchase of the colony of what is now known as Pennsylvania. And thanks to the negotiation tactics that I learned from the Sandler Training Institute, I was able to get the whole territory of what is now known as Pennsylvania. And from there, we actually founded and built a planned community known as Philadelphia. After we finished the construction of Philadelphia, we set our sights on a more rural location, a smaller location, one that would involve more farming. And that's where the new town of Newtown came to be. So I'm very, very excited to share all this with you, and this goes to show you what a little bit of negotiation can do for you.
This next site is without a doubt the most famous anchor site in the Revolutionary War. Although for safety's sake, George Washington had to keep moving, he slept here for the better part of the week between Trenton and Battle of Princeton. Yes, and as you can see, it has been preserved in Revolutionary War condition. It's Hannah Harris's boarding house, and it's now a Lukoil gas station. General George Washington had a plan. It was 1776, December, and we were losing the Revolutionary War. The clothes and the uniforms of his men were threadbare. Some of the fighters had no shoes, no boots. They were very under-equipped. Also, there were several enlistments set to expire on December 31. He was in trouble. They would retire the enlisted men on January 1st. So he had a small window of time to make his mark. He planned his assault on Trenton. You probably are familiar with it, the crossing that happened on Christmas Day, 1776. He and his men crossed the Delaware on Christmas evening to land 10 miles above Trenton to assault the Trenton Hessian Army, mercenaries for the British. Apparently, the Hessians had enjoyed their Christmas cheer a little too much because they were not ready and suffered many wounded, 22 fatalities, and 800 were captured and were brought back to Newtown and imprisoned. Where? The old Presbyterian church. An impressive, heroic, rare, and badly needed win. George Washington and his men's win at Trenton was very strategic in that he'd been asking Congress for money to fuel his army and the war for many times over the years that preceded it. The win at Trenton raised the spirits of the Americans, the colonists, and had the Congress cued in to what's going on. The win at Trenton empowered George Washington to write 2 letters to Congress to get paid off on his promise and get money to fund his army. He used a Sandler tactic in negotiation. It was an upfront contract that empowered him. If he paid off on wins, he'd get the money. After the huge win at Trenton, and then in succession to that in Princeton, they paid the money. General Washington embodied the traits of an awesome salesperson and tremendously motivating leader. Leadership and salesmanship, quality number 1. Sell the idea, not the product. It was George's staunch philosophy that led to the Americans' victory, the philosophy of a free country. You gentlemen have a chance to do something great. Taxation without representation. Who's going to stand for it? What he was preaching here is if the idea is clear in your head, you believe it, you can achieve it. Leadership and salesmanship, quality number 2. Get it done with subpar resources. These men were walking through the snow up to the banks of the Delaware River. In fact, it's said that over a third were walking barefoot on the snow, leaving their blood in their tracks. They didn't complain. They forged on. How did General George Washington win under such adversity and non-ideal circumstances? Maybe it's similar to your business, where your salespeople don't have great resources, they don't have great training, and the tools of technology that we get in modern day. As an executive, a business owner, or a sales manager, you need to face that adversity. You need to overcome those constraints, and you need to survive and thrive. You need to embrace your constraints and think about a plan and find your way. Use your energy and intelligence to get a win. Our first salesman, General George, devised an awesome strategy, trained and disciplined his men, and set forth into the distance with a battle cry. The American dream. A high-performing salesperson will never complain. She will just get it done. She'll find a way, have resilience, and outsell all of her competitors. Resilience is one of the great lessons that General George Washington taught us. Leadership and salesmanship, quality number 3. Focus on winning the war, not the battles. Washington only won a third of his battles and retreated often rather than engage in the enemy. He still won the war. Washington's strategy to retreat was big because it saved his resources. It saved his energy. It saves his lives, the lives of his men, to fight another day. We espouse a similar strategy at Sandler. At Sandler Training, we don't finish every battle. We make the decision whether my time is worth the resources in this selling situation. If we get a no, or if we get an indication, in fact, a commitment that the customer's not going to go forward, we too bail out. We got better things to do. Our resources, our time, and our energy go to people who have an opportunity and present a way to solve their problems and buy from us. The quicker you find out there's not going to be a deal, the better off you are in moving on. When we get that no, it's a no. Don't be a high-pressure salesperson. Qualify on the opportunities you have in front of you. If it's a no, move on. Find winnable deals. Your clients that do buy will have a better experience, will give you more referrals, and will lead you towards winning the war. It's qualifying deals that Sandler espouses. It frees up time for wins, for generals, for business people, for salespeople. As a salesperson, one of the toughest things we have to do is prospect and bring in new business. It's been said that only two types of people like cold calling: liars and sales managers. At Sandler, we study the psychology of it. We provide you the tools, provide you the training, the attitudes and behaviors that it takes to be successful, and actually learn to like cold calling as it puts money in your pocket. The other guys don't do it. Even though they tell you they do, they don't do it.
Leadership and salesmanship quality number 4. One of the things I admire the most is George Washington's willingness to lead from the front. He didn't fight in all his battles, but those that he did, as you can picture on the edge of the ship's bow, he led from the front.
He was shot a minimum that we know of 4 times. 2 horses were shot from underneath him. When troops worried about the general getting shot or harmed, he said, "Parade on, my fellows, let's get the win." His courage and calm from the front was astonishing. Business owners and sales managers, get out there in front. Lead your men and women. Know how to sell yourself, and don't expect them to do it without you. Take action. Take Sandler Training. Help them lead themselves. Help them become accountable for the big sales. Close at the end of the quarter with a bang. Sandler principle of salesmanship and leadership. Lead by your actions. Lead from the front. If you'd like to embody the leadership skills, communication skills, attitudes and behaviors of a George Washington, come to Sandler Training. Make your confidence and your income soar. Make George Washington proud. If you know someone ambitious who's looking to really rocket their sales, we are here for you.
In Newtown, we've supported one another over the last 2 years. It's rather amazing. You've kept business in town, supported the entrepreneurs. More importantly, our nurses and hospital staff have been working day and night, supplying with groceries, and the supply chain overall has kept going as we support each other, and we appreciate that. We're all leaders in that right, and thank you. I'd also like to thank the Crossing Community Church, who lent us the close of the period and gave us a good reference for what this recreation of history is all about. Thank you very much. Also like to thank fellow board member Kelsey Jordan, whose video business was put on hold to help me with this video. You can imagine that. She should be out there doing your videos for your advertisement, for your training, and other purposes. make sure you give her a call. She obviously does great work. Also like to thank Matt Peters, AKA William Penn, AKA the Weed Man, who has supported this program, the All Around Newtown program, very nicely and has been very helpful. Thank you, Matt. And lastly, not least, I'd like to thank the Newtown Historical Association, who taught me a lot about history and helped me cheat on some of the corners here, but I think it's all in good fun. Dan Griffin, Susan Thompson, and Bronwyn Jones, hats off to you. Thank you very much. Go see them and keep the Luke oil from being built in some other sacred property around us. That's what they're there for, and to teach us about our awesome town and its surrounding area and its history. So, you know, those who don't learn history are doomed to repeat it. And remember, Newtown is a great place to live, work, and visit. Let's celebrate it for what it is. So thanks for listening. I'm Andy Rich, president of Sandler Training, right here in Newtown. I hope you learned something, and I hope to see you soon. Thanks a lot.